Good day, I'm Gian Magat and I'll be tackling research methodology. But before I proceed with my topic, let's have a brief recap of what Mr. Lorenzo has discussed, which is about financial objectives. Financial objectives, which are enumerated in bullets, aim to solve specific problems that stem from the main problem. In relation to his topic, research methodology partially describes how the said financial objectives will be achieved. Now for the learning outcomes, at the end of the discussion, the following are expected to be met. First is to understand research methodology, its importance, and its parts. Also, to learn how to write the introductory part of the research methodology. To begin with, researchers are said to be critical and therefore they want to evaluate whether the methodology used is sound. Because if from the start, if the process and how it was done is deemed invalid, then of course the contents from the data gathered up to the findings and recommendations are also deemed invalid. Now to avoid wastage of efforts and resources, this section must be carefully planned out and studied for. Now what is research methodology? It is said to be the science of studying how research is to be carried out. Essentially, this pertains to the specific techniques or procedures used to identify, select, process, and analyze the data gathered to be used by the researchers. Like what I've mentioned before, it partially explains how the financial objectives will be achieved. Ultimately, it sets out the work plan for the whole financial plan. In addition, this section, it comprises of 6 subsections. First is the research design, case method, instrumentation, statistical tools and tools for financial analysis, definition of terms, and in-text citation and list of references. Now for the first subsection, which is the research design, it pertains to the master plan that should be used by the researchers for the collection and analysis of the data gathered. Normally, the descriptive method is usually used by the researchers, although there are different classifications of research designs, mainly because it showcases the present condition of the entity. Now, when we speak of the present condition, it pertains to the entity's financial performance for the last 5 years. And also, so the financial statements for 5 years and its disclosures are normally used for this financial plan. Now, for the case method, it shows the case analysis for the entity. Here, the researchers take the viewpoint of someone who strategizes and comes up for an action plan for the implementation of strategy. It is composed of 3 phases. First, the researchers have to know the entity's profile, its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the environment or in the environment, its market share, and industry averages. Now, for the second phase, the researchers have to utilize the data gathered from the first phase, and so they have to come up with the identification of the specific problems and of course its main problems. And lastly, they have to generate various set of alternative course of action that will best or that will somehow solve the specified problems. However, in this part or in this subsection, it must show that the researchers have successfully chosen or determined which of the alternative courses of action which will best solve the specified problems. Now for the instrumentation, which is the third subsection of this section, this enumerates the used instruments. Commonly, or usually, the 5-year financial statement and its disclosures are usually used, along with the responses from the interviews from the key persons and also the responses from the survey questionnaire. Although it must be noted that the survey questionnaire is only used for the entities surrounding competitors. Now for the statistical tools and tools for financial analysis, these are used for the measurement of some instruments used. For these statistical tools, frequency, percentages, and averages are usually used. Here, it also includes the sampling and sampling techniques. Now, for the tools for financial analysis, the computation of ratios, rates, turnovers of solvency, liquidity, and profitability DuPont analysis, regression analysis, and break-even point are usually used by the researchers. Now, for the definition of terms, the key terms here are being defined as to how they are used in the whole financial plan. It must also be noted that those terms must be arranged alphabetically and that the key terms must be in bold format. And lastly, the in-text citation and list of references. This must also be arranged alphabetically and it must also be in APA format. Now, what should we include? What should be included in the introductory part of the research methodology? It should include the description of what research methodology discusses and the enumeration of its subsections. Now, for the example regarding the introductory part, here's an excerpt from the 5-year financial plan of Worldwide Services Provider Cooperative. It can be seen that in this first part, it shows the summary of the conduct of research by discussing the process and procedures in gathering data and information. And in the latter part, it included the subsections, which are the research design, case method, instrumentation, statistical tools, and tools for financial analysis. Now, in a nutshell, the research methodology is really crucial in the data gathering process. One mistake could lead to the lessening of the quality of findings and recommendations, or worse, it could lead to the invalidation of the whole research or the whole financial plan. And this justifies the reason why this part of financial plan must be carefully planned out and studied for. That's all for the research methodology. Thank you.